Hey guys, this is Hazard 502. Welcome back to another video. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to have a look at the Condor Plan A knife, designed by Julio Diez. This is perchance possibly one of my favorite fixed blades that I have handled and owned, and I'm really excited to take a close look at it with you guys. I've had the Plan A for some time, but I wanted to hold off doing a review until I had a good chance to use it, and I've been able to put it through its paces and really put it to work, and able to come back with some feedback for you guys. So let's look at some quick measurements on the Condor Plan A. We have a blade length of 9 inches, handle length of 5.5 inches, and overall length of 14.5 inches. On the blade, we have 1075 high carbon steel. You can see that it is a mid-height saber grind with a micro bevel cutting edge. We have a nice swedge going along the top here for this nice buoy style blade. Handle is made out of a black and green micarta, brass pins, and the handle, as you can see, is a kukri style type of handle. Let's jump into the sheath. We have a kydex sheath with a leather belt loop, and this is for sure one of my favorite sheath setups, specifically for the ride height. I really enjoy a sheath that rides when the knife is mounted in there at belt level without the handle sticking up too much into the hip. My family and I do a lot of hiking, backpacking, and having a knife that carries comfortably on the hip and doesn't always dig into the side is important for me, because we do a lot of climbing and whatnot. And you can see here that the ride height, so your belt would run through here, obviously, and we only got like about 1.5 inches sticking up. So really enjoy the way that this carries, and super secure retention. It doesn't feel or sound like it snaps in with authority, but the retention is definitely nice and secure. So good looking sheath, great retention, very comfortable ride on the hip. Great job by Condor with that, for sure. Let us talk about perhaps one of the best parts about the knife, other than it is a very high performing 1075 treatment on the steel, but the handle. This is a phenomenal handle. The kukri handle that they put on here is extremely comfortable. So you can see on the side profile, we have a few valleys with a swell here, very nicely rounded, where your hand would rest. A couple of valleys here and here with a swell down the middle, all the way around. So when it lands in your hand, it fills your palm nicely, and the two tighter spots allow your fingers just to wrap around it to get an incredibly secure grip. It feels very at home in my hands, and I really enjoy this handle. You can see at the front, we have a really attractive finger guard, and the way that the handle swells at the front really locks your hand into place, and you feel really safe without having to ever slide forward with any kind of push cuts or stabbing motions. And then you can see the back, the kukri swell on the back there really locks your hand in while you're swinging the blade, and also allows for a fairly comfortable choke back for some chopping. So that's great. There are a few hiccups with the handle I will mention, in that the edges along the pommel end right here, wrapping all the way around, is actually a fairly pointy ledge. It could do for a lot more chamfering and curvature. I have on some of my other Condor blades just taken some sandpaper to it and just spent some time rounding off this edge to provide a little bit more comfort. But if you were to choke back while chopping, this part definitely does kind of dig into the hand. So if you get one of these, just be mindful that you might need to do some extra work on the handle there to add a little bit of comfort. Other than that though, front to back and all around, amazing handle. Another amazing thing about the handle, and I know I'm going on a lot about the handle, but it is a truly well-crafted piece, is that during heavy chopping, this is probably the first fixed blade where I have felt locked in with a fantastic grip without worrying about sliding back right here at the forward grip position. I have done a ton of hacking and chopping with this knife, with my grip right here, without my hand ever feeling like it kept sliding back and then finally using like a 3 or 4 finger grip. It stays locked in right here. So not only do you get powerful chopping and cuts, but your hand gets to stay in the most comfortable position on this knife, which really kind of shocked me. And yeah, just amazing. So the blade itself, like I said, is 1075 high carbon steel. I know that there's been some controversy in the knife community as far as how good Condor's 1075 steel is. For all of the knives that I've had with Condor that come with 1075, they have all been consistent. And this one has performed the best out of all of them. So the edge that we have on here, of course there's a Plan A, and sorry about a bit of the wonky lighting, guys. The edge that is on here is still the factory edge from when I've taken out into the bush on camping and hiking trips and have used this over and over again. And the edge is just still gleaming sharp. No deformations, no rolls, no chips. And it has just held out incredibly well. Good edge geometry on this thing during some heavy swings and heavy chopping. This bites in incredibly deep and consistently. So been really happy with the performance of the blade. It does a really, really good job with the big stuff. And because of how deep it does slice, this is not a hollow grind, it is a saber grind here. It has a pretty respectable edge for finer tasks as well. And with the design of the handle and how it comes up to this beautiful guard, you can, without needing a finger choil, get up really close behind items for some finer tasks with this, no problem. So it's very versatile for such a large knife. Does a wonderful job at heavy hits and finer tasks, but definitely excels with the bigger stuff. So another thing I really like about this knife is it just looks amazing. It's aggressive and it's beautiful. I just love the design of this buoy shaped blade. I just think it's executed very well. As far as the machining of the blade, very symmetrical front to back, cutting edge right down the middle through the plunge grind. There is one hiccup though in some of the machining on the swedge here. I don't know if we will be able to capture it on camera, but it is ground slightly further over on this side and it is more shallow on this side. I don't know if you guys can capture that at all. So it's a little bit even coming this way. So there is a little bit of machining hiccup there, but I mean, it's something that doesn't detract from the knife, doesn't make me hesitate owning it in any way. I know that I could take it to my own grinder and take a little bit more material off of this side just to make it even from left to right. It's just hard to see in the light, but it is a little bit off. So something that I could adjust myself, but just to note that there is a little bit of a misstep there. All right, let's do a few size comparisons just to give you a gauge on what this looks like. This big, beautiful 14.5 inch overall knife. Let's first compare it to the Cold Steel Drop Forge Survivalist. I'm going to kind of keep this one on the top because it is going to be on the larger side of the blades that we compare to. So there's that. Amazing knife. See my video on this one. I love this. Absolutely great knife. Let's compare it to another Condor, the Hudson Bay. Very similar in overall length. Compare it to slightly smaller knife, the Work Tough Gear Wilderness Warrior. And one more, let's show it up against another Condor, and my favorite knife of all time is the Low Drag. So overall impressions is that, I mean, I highly anticipated this knife, was really excited to get it, would hope it would perform well, and I love it. This is a top 2 or 3 blade in my collection. It looks amazing. The handle comfort is phenomenal. The chopping and cutting power is top rate in my opinion. I mean, there's a few hiccups again with how the swedge was ground uneven on both sides, and you know, the end of the pommel here is a bit sharp on the hands, but a little bit of sanding here would fix that, no problem. And again, the sheath, kydex sheath, looks good, secure fit, excellent ride height, and overall I'm just totally in love with this blade. So if it's something that you've been thinking about, I highly recommend you give it a chance, and I think you'd enjoy it too. And really appreciate your time, and we'll catch you in the next one.